Hey guys, Rick Denham here. It's late April and the Kokanee bite is on right now. What a better way to target these early season fish that are just getting on the bite than top lining for them. So I'm going to cover that in today's video, top lining for early season Kokanee. Now what's fun about this technique, guys, you don't necessarily need downriggers in order to do this. A lot of guys are very successful with just a little bit of weight and knowing the right dodger combination to get down in the depth of those fish near the surface. So this is what's going to be fun, is covering how simple this really can be. So in front of me here, I got some of my favorite early season gear, and I'm going to walk through some of the dodger selection, a couple different riggings to help you out, as well as some of the lures themselves. So let's take a look first at our dodger selection. Now in front of me here, I got some of my favorites that I like to use. From Dick Knight's, Arrow Flash, to the Max Double D, to the RMTs. Now, each one of these has their own application, and in fact some of them work a little better on the top lining than others. But they all will work great this time of the year, and what you'll notice from here is you'll see a lot of flash. Now, again, this has to vary on what your conditions base are. I actually have an entire selection of dodgers that I would be using daily to have, but this is a basic color selection that'll help you get into some fish. So early on in the day, let's say, first light, I'm going with some high glow, high UV. Now this is the Dick Knight Wonder Bread Glow, which works really good early in the mornings. As we start to progress, when we have more direct sun on the water, you're going to want to stray away from as much flash. Now, these Arrow Flash Dodgers have the extra Moon Jelly UV tape on them, which is great, again, for early morning, low light. But as we start to progress into a midday situation, you're going to want to start toning that down. Your watermelons. Now this is another really good dodger. This one's from RMT Tackle, and it's a watermelon with a little UV tape on it, but it is not as flashy as a full UV silver plated, which you can have out there. So this variety all fishes well from the Dick Knights, like I said, Arrow Flash. The Double Ds are a great option when you're stacking lines, because early on, again, you don't have to run super deep. So you might want a top line rod, and you also might want one that is on the downrigger maybe 5 feet, 10 feet. But what's unique about these Double D Dodgers is that they have a planer board design that allows you to kick this away from the boat depending on which hole is placed on. And on the back of the Dodger itself, there's a map on how to do so. So very cool to have this feature when you're on the boat, because you can put out 4 lines and never have them tangle, which is really nice to have. Now, one way, as you start getting trolling along, you'll find that some of these Dodgers dive deeper than others when trolled flatline, and others have a little bit of difficulty trying to flatline just by themselves. I love using these Dick Knights with no weight, because the Dick Knight Dodger will dive down between 5 to 8 feet on its own, just being trolled. So if I'm going to run a Dick Knight flatline, I just have it straight out the back. And these early season fish too are very spooky of the boat, especially on my home lake of Lake Stevens. I really like running these probably at 70 to 100 foot setbacks. It really pushes them behind the boat and get your gear away from that. So helps you get more bites doing that. Now, I found that some of these other Dodgers, like the Arrow Flash, the Double Ds, and the RMT Tackle, tend to have a little bit lighter action, so they're going to want to play and stay up at the surface. Now, what I'm going to show you here is one of my favorite ways to combat that, yet still get the effectiveness of the Dodger and fish in that top line scenario. So I always run a snap swivel on my main line tied directly so I can just clip and swap out my Dodger without having to change and tie any knots. So in the case of the Double D, let's say, there already is a snap swivel on top of this. Now what's pretty neat here is that you got the dual lock swivel, right? And what I do here is I take the dual lock off, as you can see, take the dual lock off the top. Now, I prefer to run the Dave's Tangle free weights for this application. They're non-lead, they work great for this weight size that I'm going to show you here, and it's just a great way to do this without having to worry too much about anything. Dave's already taken care of it with his handy packs, you don't have to guess. So what I do, I take a 1/4 ounce or an 1/8 ounce, depending on how deep I want this to go, because this will again dive between 4 or 5 feet with just this extra weight added on. But more importantly, with the double G's and D's in particular, you're going to end up being able to plan this away from the boat and actually get it down to be efficient. So you can get those schools that you see jumping outside the boat now because this can pan away and actually be under the water or the surface. So what I'll do here, I take that dual lock, run the Dave's Tangle free underneath it. Now, do you see how I have this? Okay, when I go to clip this back on, depending on which way I want the holes oriented, the weight is now under the Dodger itself. Now this is key because having the weight underneath still allows the Dodger to work the way it's supposed to, but the weight won't interfere now. Now if I did this the other way, flip it over for grace sake, now the weight's going to interfere with the action. So you want that weight to be tucked underneath the Dodger, and you'll be able to pan this away from the boat, depending again on which side you do, and you're going to be able to fish effectively now at a depth that you weren't able to before, without having to use a downrigger for that application. Now, these other Dodgers, like the Arrow Flash and the RMT Tackle, it's the same concept. It may not get fully under the surface, so I'll take a dual lock snap swivel and I will do the exact same thing I just did there. So I will take the same setup, Dave's Tangle free weight, I'll thread that under the bottom, and now as I thread that on the top and snap it in, the snap swivel that I have on my line will be where it needs to be, and now this Dodger with the Arrow Flash can control top line and be just on the surface to be effective. Same thing goes for the Rocky Mountain Tackle ones as well. Because these don't have any weight on their own, being a thinner material, you need to have just a tad bit of weight to be able to get these down. So a very effective way to create a top line Dodger that's going to really help you get some more early season fish. But let's look now at what kind of lures we can be running behind these top line, because I frankly find this early season, especially Lake Stevens, wedding rings are killer. Spinners of any sort, really. So I find myself running earlier on in the mornings, a lot more glow and a lot more UV. So things that you'll find early in my arsenal for the day, maybe a Frank's Kokanee fly behind one of these Arrow Flash Dodgers. That might be my early morning technique. Or maybe I go with the Double D Dodger here with a little bit of UV tape, and then running my own custom wedding ring design. So it's really up to your own imagination, but you'll notice here as the day goes forward, and I've kind of staggered my colors out to be that way, as the day progresses, I'm going to start to do it in more natural tones of colors. Less on the heavy UV and more natural of the gold plated and the silver plated and just avoiding so much flash. So you just tone down your colors. This Dick Knight Splatter Watermelon has been one of the hot dodgers entirely the last few weeks. And all I'm running is a custom weighing ring behind that, about 12 to 16 inches. And that in itself accounted for a whole lot of fish when the sun came really high. So another effective one was this Funky Frog Rocky Mountain Tackle with the 50-50 weighing ring. So again, what you're seeing a pattern here is that as the sun's coming out, I'm toning down my colors, which really helps to get more strikes from fish because they're not getting spooked from too much flash. But a few other options, you have, like I said, your Frank's flies, which are very effective, 13 to 16 inches behind your dodgers. You have your Rocky Mountain Tackle spinners, from your Plankton series to your Assassin spinners. They are awesome as well. Started using a lot more of my Wicked selection here. These are Trout Killers by Wicked Lures, but they work great behind a dodger for early season kokanee. Another great option. But again, guys, it's all preference up to you, and that's the beauty of kokanee fishing. Especially early on in the season, you can get anything to work. You just have to be at the right depth, at the right timing of the day, with the right color selection. So as you guys go on your water for the next adventure, think about a little about this with your top line technique. That you might sometimes just figure out what and how your dodgers work in the water to get you more fish. So good luck out there. Lots more to come. Take care and fish on. Hey guys, thanks for watching today. Hope you really enjoyed this video and learned a lot. This is Rick Denham with Holy Moly Outdoors signing off. If you want to see more, please like and subscribe my channel and take a look at the videos playing above. Lots more information and instructional videos to come. Thanks for watching, guys. Tight lines, good luck on the water. Fish on.